The smartest person in the room is almost never the loudest. You already know this, but you've never been told why. It's not modesty. It's not introversion. It's not low self-esteem or lack of confidence or any of the language people use to flatten what's actually happening. It's a strategy, a quiet, deliberate, almost invisible strategy that highly intelligent people start using by the time they're 9 years old. And once you know what to look for, you'll spot it everywhere, in meetings, at dinners, on first dates, in family arguments. Some of the most powerful minds you've ever met have been hiding in plain sight, right next to you, right across from you, sometimes in you. You're not paranoid for sensing this in others. You're pattern aware. There's a difference. Watch closely. Howard Gardner, a Harvard psychologist, spent 40 years arguing that intelligence isn't one thing. It's at least 8 things, and school only rewards 2 of them. The rest stay quiet. They learn to hide. The smart ones learn early, sometimes by 9 years old, that being too sharp out loud costs you. People pull back. They feel small around you. They stop including you. So you adjust. You lower the volume. You ask instead of telling. You become, on the surface, easy to talk to, easy to underestimate, easy to forget. By the time most smart people are adults, the hiding is automatic. They don't even know they're doing it. But you've been watching them. And there are 5 specific things they do that give them away. Sign 1. Watch closely. They ask 1 question instead of giving 5 opinions. In a room full of people performing intelligence, name-dropping, citing studies, correcting each other's grammar, there's usually 1 person doing the opposite. They sit back, they listen, and then, somewhere in the middle, they ask 1 question nobody else thought to ask. It's not a smart-sounding question. It's a small one. Wait, what did you mean earlier? Or just why? And the room shifts, slightly, because that 1 question reveals something the loud people missed. Robin Dreeke, a former FBI behavioral analyst, calls this elicitation, the art of extracting more information by saying less. The most effective interrogators, he found, weren't the aggressive ones. They were the calm ones who asked 1 good question and waited. You've watched someone do this. You may have done it yourself. You filed it under being curious. But it's more than that. It's a strategy, a quiet one. So next time someone in the room asks the small question that makes everyone pause, don't look at the question. Look at the person who asked it. That's the spark. Sign 2. Here's what most people miss. They underestimate themselves out loud. When you compliment them, they deflect. Oh, just got lucky. Anyone could have done that. The people who don't pay attention nod and move on. But you've noticed something. The deflection is too specific, too quick, almost rehearsed. David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger discovered something strange about competence. People who are bad at something tend to massively overestimate themselves. The reverse is also true, and this is the part nobody talks about. Highly competent people consistently underestimate themselves. They assume what's easy for them must be easy for everyone, so they downplay it. You've felt this yourself. You answered a question confidently in a meeting, and then wondered if you sounded arrogant. You finished a hard task and felt strange accepting praise for it. Because part of you genuinely thinks it wasn't that hard, right? That's the inverse Dunning-Kruger, a marker, not a flaw. So next time you hear someone downplay themselves with that too quick rehearsed humility, don't believe it. They might not be modest. They might be measuring the room. Sign 3. Decode this with me. They remember what you said 3 weeks ago. Casually. You'll be talking to them about something else entirely. Work, weekend plans, the weather. And in the middle of the conversation, they'll drop in something you mentioned to them once, weeks ago. The book you said you'd read, but hadn't. The cousin you only talked about briefly. The thing your father did that bothered you. They don't bring it up like a quiz. They bring it up casually, like it just occurred to them. As if they haven't been holding that detail in their head for 21 days. Most people take this as a sign they care. It's partly that. But there's something else going on underneath. Smart people don't memorize what you tell them on purpose. They register what matters to you and file it. Their attention is a finite resource, and they spend it on what's actually worth tracking. The throwaway comment about your father wasn't throwaway to them. They heard the weight in your voice when you said it, and they remembered. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, has written about how the brain doesn't store everything equally. It filters for salience. Smart brains aren't bigger storage, they're better editors. So next time someone brings up something you mentioned in passing weeks ago, don't be flattered yet. Notice what they remembered. That's the map of what they think actually matters about you. Sign 4. The pattern doesn't lie. They pause 2 seconds longer than average before answering. Most people respond within half a second of the other person finishing, sometimes overlapping, sometimes interrupting. Faster usually feels smarter, but there's a kind of person who consistently waits, not because they're slow, because they're processing. Angela Duckworth, a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, found something counterintuitive about high performers. The best didn't think faster, they thought longer. They lived with questions instead of rushing to answers. You felt this pause from someone. You asked them something, and there was a small silence, long enough to make you uncomfortable. You almost filled it, but you waited. And what came out was better than what they could have said in half a second. There's a quiet sentence happening inside their head during that pause. Something like, wait, is that actually what you think or what you're expected to say? That 2-second delay is integrity reorganizing itself in real time. So next time you ask someone a real question and they go quiet for 2 seconds, don't repeat it. Just wait. The good stuff comes after. Sign 5. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. They've been protecting you the whole time. And you didn't know. Here's the part nobody tells you. The asking questions, the downplaying, the remembering, the pauses, none of it is really about them. It's about you. When a smart person asks a question, instead of telling you the answer, they're protecting your pride. When they downplay their own competence, they're protecting your comfort. When they remember the offhand thing you said 3 weeks ago, they're protecting the relationship by treating you like someone worth tracking. When they pause 2 seconds before answering, they're protecting the conversation from a careless reply. You thought they were managing themselves. They were managing the room, including you. And the strangest part is, they don't see it as kindness. They see it as math. The cost of one person showing off equals the cost of 3 people pulling away. So they do the math and they make the choice that costs less. What looks like modesty is actually maintenance. What looks like humility is actually engineering. So next time you catch someone doing all 4 of these things in one conversation, say nothing. Just notice you got to have that conversation at all because someone quietly decided you were worth the silent work. Now zoom out. The world rewards loud intelligence, the kind that wins debates and fills rooms. But there's a quieter kind that wins something else entirely. Trust, depth, time, energy. The kind of life where you don't have to defend yourself every 5 minutes because the people around you have stopped underestimating you. And here's what nobody tells you. Once you can recognize this pattern in others, you start recognizing it in yourself. The times you held back weren't weakness. You were reading the room before you spent yourself in it. That's a quiet kind of power. If you saw yourself in even 2 of these signs, you already know the answer. You've been doing this for years. You just didn't have language for it yet. Now you do. Share this with the one person you know who never claims to be smart, but somehow always is. They'll understand why you sent it. And if you want to keep building this kind of literacy, subscribe. 3 new decodes every week. Until next time, stay observant.